Essentially the title. My fiancé and I have been dating for 4 years, engaged for 8 months. Over the last 2 years, he's asked me not to talk about or drastically limit how much I talk about certain topics, including work, niche topics that I've extensively researched and really enjoy, and our wedding. Today, he added the cat I recently rescued to the list. This has severely limited the topics that I talk to him about and made me feel that he just doesn't want me to talk. This is backed up by comments that he's made about how monotonous and hard to listen to my voice is. Writing this out, I totally understand that I sound like a boring person, but he knew most of these things about me coming into the relationship. We knew each other before we started dating. However, I understand that those things aren't everyone's cup of tea. I used to talk at length about these topics, but I've worked really hard not to talk about them too much with him. I even set daily reminders on my phone not to talk about the topics that bother him until it became a habit. Initially, he said I didn't need to set the reminders, but he was noticeably happier when I started talking less in general. Meanwhile, he continues to talk at length about the similar topics that he's asked me not to. Work and his favorite topics to research. When I've brought up what I felt like was a double standard, he said that anyone could understand and relate to his work, whereas he doesn't understand mine. I've also made an effort to at least listen to and encourage his research topics, even though they're not my thing, and he says that these are the only things he has to unwind outside of work, a physical public-facing job. It does make me sad. I believe in encouraging people's favorite topics, and I'd really love to have that reciprocated from my partner. Instead, the list keeps getting longer. When I want to give him important updates on my work, like that I'm going after another job, I have to preface my update with, "I'll make this quick," or 2-minute update, and even then he looks like he's been forced to endure. Several times when those things, especially work, which has been especially rough for me this year, are all I can think about, I find myself with very little to say that won't go against the boundaries he's set, but I still want desperately to talk to someone. On those days/weeks, we'll have very surface-level conversations. Especially then, I talk a lot to our 3 cats and now the rescue cat, mostly nonsense things about how sweet they are and silly made-up scenarios, and then we just slow blink at each other back and forth. It's great. This upsets my fiancé. He's made comments about how he'd have to act like a cat if he wants me to talk to him and give him attention. I've explained that I'm just going through stuff at work, and don't want to talk his ear off about it. I've tried having conversations about how to resolve this so we both get what we need, but he usually turns it back on me in some way. This can't be healthy, right? Or am I overthinking it/missing something? We're about 2 months out from the wedding, and I'm struggling to finish wedding DIYs because of what this would mean for the rest of my life. For any advice. Didn't expect to get clocked this hard, but yes, there's a chance I am somewhere on the spectrum. I haven't pursued a formal diagnosis. He doesn't believe he is and only fit 1 to 2 criteria when we looked a while back. Some additional info and clarification. I did previously talk too much, 1 to 2 hours in some cases, about work and my favorite topics. I realized I was doing it after I suspected that I'd be autistic. This is something I've been working on really hard. Topics aren't everyone's cup of tea, and I recognize that. I rarely talk about anything for more than 15 minutes now. 30 for topics where he engages, like when I tell him that I want to change jobs and how it could affect the 2 of us. My fiancé has called me annoying before but says it's endearing. Some people have suggested he might just be with me for chores and cooking, etc. I've taken over all of the cooking, but I really struggle with chores, but I've been trying to do better. I've improved gradually over the last several years. This is a main source of our arguments. I apologize for the length of the post. Fiancé asked me not to talk about topics like work and hobbies. Adds to the list, but talks about his own interests the whole time we're together or on the phone. I did used to talk for 1 to 2 hours, but I've worked hard to make sure I don't talk that long now because I know it can be exhausting. I do engage and ask questions about his interests frequently.